escaped Philadelphia with a 4-3 shootout win. It wasn't always pretty, but it was a very big 2 points. We have our key takeaways from that game, plus a couple of key listener questions and a whole lot more coming up on this episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast. So glad you could join us today, and thank you for being a member of the Locked On Islanders family and for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms, and that does include YouTube, so check us out there, and you could subscribe, and every weekday morning, the video will be in your feed. We've got a lot to talk about on today's show. We've got some key takeaways from the Islanders' 4-3 shootout win over the Flyers. No, it wasn't pretty, but boy, putting together back-to-back wins, getting the 4 points against Philadelphia, a big deal. And we'll have our key takeaways, the good and the bad from this game. We've got some listener emails to address, and we'll talk about that in our second segment. I'm going to move the farm report to tomorrow, so make sure you join us for that. We'll have the farm report and talk about all things Bridgeport Islanders. Also have our Islanders birthday of the day, a player who was on multiple Stanley Cup winning teams with the Islanders, but did not play for all 4 Stanley Cup winning teams. Look forward to that, and we'll go back and look at a great playoff game that this player had earlier in his career. If you've got something Islanders related on your mind, you have a question, a comment, a topic that you'd like us to discuss, feel free to send us an email. The email address, lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we are happy to mention you on the show when we talk about whatever it is that's on your mind. You could also follow the show on Twitter at Locked On Isles, and you could follow me, Gil Martin, on Twitter at Ice Wars, NYR, VSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all the latest Islanders news, notes, and happenings. I am also live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game, so please join us, and always great to interact with fans. I'll give you instant feedback, instant analysis, and insight into what you're seeing on the ice, and always great to be in touch with people during the game and really any time. So please feel free to hit me up on Twitter whenever you get the chance. Islanders skate away with a 4-3 shootout win over the Philadelphia Flyers. Flyers now 0-6-3 in their last 9, and the Islanders starting to get closer to getting out of the cellar in the Metropolitan Division and starting to put some wins together. But, look, this was not the prettiest of games. And the bad news is that this team is playing some inconsistent hockey, that we still need to see more effort, that they still need to shoot the puck more often. And I know that that's not going overnight. To me, period needed as they go through the full 10 minutes of third period without getting a shot. And yet the beautiful thing, Islanders show resilience, bounce back and manage on a really nice redirection by Casey Zizekas, and then win it in the shootout courtesy of Oliver Wahlstrom. But hey, here's my first key takeaway on this one. Congratulate Robin Salo. He gets his first career NHL goal. And, in yesterday's game, or Monday's game against the Flyers, Salo was originally credited with goal. They took it away, ended up saying was his run, and yet turned out to go. Had it swinging, but you know what? No downs today. 2 minutes and 8 seconds in game. Nice from guys inside the in between the circle. Let it fly. Congratulations, Robin Salo. Great to see. And more spectacular, Robin Salo. And he describes what happened in his first NHL goal. But great moment for Salo. Then, look, Semyon Varlamov, mixed bag today. One of the goals, he mishandled the puck behind the net. And that ended up with Konechny's goal. That ended up making it a 2-2 hockey game. Kind of a goal that you really want to have back. You don't want to misplay the puck like that. Yet, even though he was a little uneven, even though times early in the game, especially playing the game, he's still down, giving up the goal Drew for the last really 20 of this game, and then in the when it mattered, the Islanders easily could have or 4-1. Barley kept him in the game. It's amazing because he made that one arching save where the puck was right on the goal line, and he used his blocker glove to stop it from going over the line. That was a spectacular save. Made some good glove saves, some really good efforts, and yet again some other plays that Varley would like to have back. Didn't handle the puck well behind the net at all times, and just let in a couple that you wouldn't want him to let in. But in the end, when it mattered most, and that was in the shootout, 8 straight saves for Semyon Varlamov. And huge. Scott made over on the made the great play, took a pass from Al Clutterbuck, skated deep, used his size and his balance to hold the defender, and then the puck toward the net was to tip it home, and that Mayfield for Cizikas goal back-to-back game after not scoring at all. How important it would be, you get that goal, you get off the schneid, and sudden, the weight is lifted off your shoulders, and you're feeling better about yourself. You're not pressing so hard, and the goals start to come. Well, guess what? That's exactly what is happening now. Back game, jet to get that goal. That was very clearly wanted to touch. And no, neither scored in overtime. Boy, was smart with their line changes in OT. I mean, they were patient. They held the puck. They waited for their teammates to get on and off the ice. And twice in the final couple of minutes of OT, the Islanders had fresh legs out there on the ice against a group of Flyers players already been out there for more than a minute and were tired at the end of the game and at the end of a long overtime shift where it's 3-on-3 and you got to cover a lot of ground. Kudos to Barry and the players for executing those line changes so well and creating those advantages for the Island. It didn't end up winning them the game. a big deal. Excited. Both teams really just still know, and fans know this only too well. I'm going to go a lot of these 6 forwards shots. Anders Lee, no shot at all. Josh Bailey shot. Now, he scored on one, but only one shot. And these guys have got to more. And Zach Parise and Cal Clutterbuck had no shots in the game. The amazing thing is that through of play, no Islanders forward had more than 2 shots on goal. That was J.D. Pajot, and he was the only one who had more than 1 shot on goal. They had 16 shots through 2 periods, and then had 16 shots halfway through the third when they finally were able to turn it on. We've got a lot more to discuss on this episode. I was asked a few more takeaways from this game, some listener emails as we enter the mail, and a whole lot more to come on this episode of the Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Built Bar. It's the new year, so that means New Year's resolutions. And if yours is about getting fit or eating healthier, make sure you include Built Bar in your plan. Built Bar is the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, maybe even better than a candy bar. And Built Bar makes it easier to stick to your resolution because it tastes so good, you'll want to eat it. Unlike other protein bars, they could be chalky or waxy or taste like a chemical spill. You want to eat healthy, but it just gets so boring. By like week 3, you might be thinking, this is just not worth it. Where's the chocolate? Well, Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate, and most Built Bars contain just 130 calories, only 4 net carbs, but they pack 17 grams of protein. Compare that to a candy bar, which usually has around 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. And there are so many great flavors to choose from: coconut almond, peanut butter brownie, raspberry, cookies and cream, my favorite, salted caramel, mint brownie, and many more. In fact, Built is always coming out with new limited time flavors, so check out Built.com to see what's new. Go to Built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. So a couple of more takeaways from this game. And, you know, we talked about the lack of shots on goal, and that has to be a concern. But here's the bottom line. Yeah, the Islanders were playing a Flyers team that is not only not playing well lately. Again, I mentioned the 0-6-3 in their last 9 games. They are, one of the teams the Islanders is chasing to try to get out of the basement in the Metropolitan Division. And you could say, yeah, the Islanders didn't play a good game overall against the Flyers, let the Flyers hang around, were even trailing late in the third period. But here's the thing. The Islanders showed resilience. They were down, but they didn't quit. They came back, and they were able to tie the game and then win it in the shootout. Oliver Wahlstrom coming up big for the Islanders. And you know what? Good teams, good hockey teams, find a way to win when they don't have their A game. When they're not playing very sharp, they still find a way to get the 2 points. The Islanders did that. And yes, they need to play better. They need to get better, but they also need those 2 points. And you string some of those wins together, you get momentum, you get confidence, and the level of play will go up. So overall, while there are a lot of things to discuss about this game that weren't great, and we've touched on many of them already, at least they got the 2 points. And Oliver Wahlstrom, what a great shot he made in the shootout to get the win for the Islanders. All right, we have a mailbag question. This one is from Noah in Jericho. Gil, my name is Noah. I'm a lifetime Islanders fan from Jericho, New York. Your podcast is phenomenal, and I thank you for never missing a beat. Apologies if these questions or topics have been covered, but see below for 2 questions I'd love for you to discuss. Number 1, and here we go. When Ryan Pulock returns, any chance Robin Salo remains and Chara gets benched? Please explain Barry's love for Chara. Is he just too much money committed now that he can't bench him, or is he delusional about Chara's impact? Barry is the smartest guy, and I understand his love for veterans, but is that enough to start a proven liability that other teams literally target? So, first of all, Noah, thank you for the kind words about the podcast, and I do appreciate that. And your question is a good one. And look, if you look at the first, let's say 10 to 15 games of this season, yes, Chara is a big time liability. He was getting used to the Islanders system, getting used to his teammates, wasn't playing well. Now he's playing better. Is he, the Hall of Fame defenseman that he was 5-6 years ago? Absolutely not. He still has his moments where he is a liability, but there are some things he brings to the table. There is leadership. There is experience. You saw what he did in the game last night against the Flyers, where one of the Flyers hit Scotty Mayfield hard and high, and it wasn't called. Who's the first guy in there to defend Scotty Mayfield? Zdeno Chara. And especially with Ross Johnston out of the lineup, although his suspension is now finished, you need somebody who's going to go out there and do that. And Chara is still, even at the age of 45, willing to drop the gloves and defend his teammates. He still is smart most of the time, but yes, he has his moments. Now, as far as Salo goes, I think what will happen is that Salo will be on the taxi squad when Pulock returns. What I'd like to see, and again, Barry Trotz, as you mentioned, and we've mentioned on the show many times, he likes his veterans. But what I think would be smart is you have Green, you have Chara, you have Salo. If you put those three in a rotation where one of them sits every third game, you get experience for Salo, who seems to be picking up his game in recent, let's say the last 5 games or so, seems to be getting more comfortable playing at the NHL level. You get him experience, and you give the two veterans a little bit of a rest to heal their bodies and make sure that they are still sharp and healthy for the playoffs. I think that would be wise, but Salo has a high bar as far as what he has to do to prove he belongs in that lineup. So let's see what Barry Trotz does. Pulock still has to come back first, but I would like to see that. But Salo really has to play well. And here's the other thing. Injuries are, going to happen in this league. And I think Salo will be the first person they plug in because he has earned that right if any defenseman goes down. Now, second question from Noah. Will Kyle Palmeri get back in the lineup? And does he deserve to? And if he does, who would get benched? Okay. Will Palmeri get back in the lineup? I think he will. Again, Barry Trotz likes his veterans. But here's the thing. If I am Barry Trotz, I don't put Kyle Palmeri back on the first or second line. I make him a third line kind of a guy, and I would move Wahlstrom up to the top 6. To me, the guy who's probably going to get benched is Kiefer Bellows, again, because of the Barry Trotz preference for veterans. Zach Parise not producing a lot, only still the 1 goal, but they like his intangibles. They like him on the power play, and they like his leadership. Kiefer Bellows, to me, is possibly the one who gets benched, but to me, it would be important for the Islanders to keep Bellows and help him continue to develop. I think Palmeri will come back, but notice I don't think they're rushing him back right now. And part of the reason is because he hasn't played well. And, if Bellows continues to play very well, again, maybe Palmeri sits another few days, maybe another few games. We'll have to keep an eye on that situation. But to me, Bellows is probably the first guy to sit if and when Kyle Palmeri is ready to come back. So, Noah, thank you so much for your questions. Greatly appreciated, and thank you so much for listening. When we come back, we will have our Islanders birthday of the day, a player who won multiple Stanley Cups with the Islanders, but wasn't on the roster for all 4 of them. See if you can guess who that is. We'll have that and more right after this. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline would like to wish you a happy new betting year as we continue our march to the playoffs and beyond. BetOnline remains the #1 spot for all the best sports wagering action for 2022. It's a new year, and there's a new updated desktop and mobile website. So sign up today, and you can receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit when you use the promo code Locked On to get started. That's Locked On, one word. And yes, betonline.ag will give you a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit because you listen to the Locked On Islanders podcast. From football, basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2022. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. Time now for our Islander birthday of the day. Today, January 19th, is the 63rd birthday. Former Islanders center Carl. The Islanders drafted him in the second round of the 9 draft, so a good Bill Trick, native of Toronto, Ontario. He was a goal scorer in June, 37 goals and 35 goals with London Knights in his last 2 there. Put up 27 goals in only 59 games in 1980-81 for the Indianapolis Checkers, who were the Islanders' top farm team. Got the call late in the 80-81 season, which was the Islanders' second run to the Stanley Cup, and played in 18 regular season games with 4 goals and 8 points, and then 18 playoff games, 3 goals and 12 points in those 18 games. But Billy Carroll was predominantly in the NHL a checker, a penalty killer, and a defensive force. Most productive season, 9 goals. That with the Islanders in 1981-82, where he had 9 goals and 29 points. But that doesn't mean he didn't have value to the team. And, played on all of the 3 finals Stanley Cup winning teams, was with the Islanders again in 83-84 when they went all the way to the final. And then in 84-85 was a member of the Edmonton Oilers when they won Stanley Cup, finished out his career with a couple of seasons with the Detroit Red Wings. For Billy Carroll, 322 career NHL games, 30 goals, 84 points, and 113 penalty minutes. But here's the thing, 71 playoff games, 6 goals and 18 points in those. So Carroll did, do a lot of winning, even if he was a role player. He was an important role player on some pretty good teams. We're going to go back and look at one of Billy Carroll's better games with the Islanders. We take you back to May 12th, 1981, Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals between the Islanders and the Minnesota North Stars at the Nassau Coliseum. Gil Martin, the goaltender for Minnesota, Billy Smith in between the pipes for the Islanders. And it was the Islanders getting on the board first. Anders Kaller, his third from Dave Langevin and Butch Goring at 2:54. Islanders up early by a score of 1-0. Then the Islanders penalty killers get going with Bob Bourne in the box for spearing a 5-minute major. The Islanders get 2 shorthanded goals, one by Brian Trottier, his 10th, the assist to Billy Carroll at 14:38. And then Anders Kaller, his 4th from Brian Trottier at 15:25. 3-0 Islanders after 1 period. 2 shorthanded goals on a 5-minute major penalty. Pretty impressive penalty killing there for the Islanders, and that was Billy Carroll at his finest. Carroll scores a goal midway through the second period, his 3rd of the playoffs from Dwayne Sutter and Bob Nystrom at 9:58 to make it 4-0 Islanders. Kent Eric Anderson got his 2nd of the playoffs getting Minnesota on the board. The only assist to Dino Ciccarelli at 13:04. After 40 minutes, it's the Islanders 4 and the North Stars 1. Opening minute of the third period, the Islanders answer. Wayne Merrick, unassisted, his fourth of the playoffs at 58 seconds. That makes the score 5-1. Then the North Stars power play gets going with Gordy Lane in the box for cross-checking. Steve Payne, his 13th from Craig Hartsburg and Bobby Smith. That made it 5-2. But then Wayne Merrick, his fifth from Dave Langevin and John Tonelli, gives the Islanders a 6-2 edge. Dino Ciccarelli closes out the scoring, his 12th from Tom McCarthy at 15-14. Islanders win this one by a score of 6-3 to take a 1-0 lead in the Stanley Cup Final Series. And for Billy Carroll, our Islanders' birthday of the day, 1 goal, 1 assist, a +2, and he scored the game-winning goal, and it was on his only shot on goal of the game. Billy Smith, 23 saves to earn the win, and the Islanders would eventually close out this series in 5 games to win their second Stanley Cup. So happy 60th birthday to Bill Carroll. He is birthday of the day. All right, the Islanders now have a couple of days off, and hopefully they will be able to put those to good use. This team really does need to keep the momentum going, and that is leaders now. They do have 8 players in COVID protocols. That's on you, and they've played pretty good hockey since. Islanders now at NHL 513. There are 1 Flyers with hand, and his game will be up Friday, 10:30. Make sure all things. Thanks again for Locked On Islanders. Yours listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On Bets. It's your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets is hosted by your boy Q with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available on all platforms. Have a great day, everybody. Stay safe. And of course, let's go Islanders.